Capricorn, this is your August 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, you might resonate with this reading. It's Romy here. Thanks so much for taking the time to tune in and to support my work. So we're going to open up this month with the energy of the Eight of Swords. Now, I feel you are on the precipice of this courageous change and almost like a permanent shift in your perception of yourself. And it is a really awe-inspiring journey, and yet there's something about you feeling like you're trying to crack this code or decipher the meaning of something to be able to kind of break through and get to the other side. And as you're sort of deep diving and trying to figure it out and make sense of it, very easily we can become a little bit overwhelmed and feel like nothing is really making sense right now. And it's not a surprise we have two powerful super full moons like bookending the month. So on the first we open up with a full moon in Aquarius, and then we'll close out on the full moon in Pisces on the 30th. What this does is create this almost void-like experience where we really have to go inwards, which is then of course enhanced by all the planetary retrogrades that we're experiencing right now. We have to let go, we have to release, we have to surrender. And yet as we move through Leo energy and it lights up for you that 8th house, which is a deeply intimate bonding experience where you're craving to get closer. And yet what the overall cosmic conversation is telling you to do is to release, relinquish, to separate. And so the friction and the conflict of that at the same time as trying to make sense and figure out next steps for yourself can create this environment where you make judgments on yourself and others and on what you see playing out that are not necessarily going to be giving you the full picture. There is this sort of veil that kind of covers the entirety of the month of August. It's actually quite magical. You know, we have the Lionsgate portal coming through on the 8th, and it's a innately powerful time to support the evolution of our growth, and yet it can feel a little bit frustrating as we are trying to make headway and focus on where we're trying to get to. So you have the Knight of Pentacles, and so the advice card really to deal with that overwhelm or any stress that's coming your way is to just be consistent with the vision that you hold. And in fact, I want to say to you, it's really important through the month of August that you do give yourself the opportunity to revisit what the big picture looks like for you without going down to the minutiae of trying to figure out the strategy. Because sometimes we can almost talk ourselves out of something, or we can almost end up kind of suppressing it or making it less than it's meant to be. And so there might be this conservative part of you, and the Knight of Pentacles is sort of telling me this, that you're almost a little hesitant to go a bit bigger and bolder and brighter in what you want for yourself or what you're trying to achieve or accomplish. And playing it down, in the narratives that you have going on with yourself is not what August wants from you. We want to be able to kind of be completely limitless and unbound in the thoughts that we have about what is possible. And you should be asking those big questions this month. Who am I now in the ways that I've changed? What is it that I want? Why am I here? What's truly calling me? Now, you have an important face-to-face with somebody, and there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk that's going to take place, but you're not necessarily going to see the follow through of the action quite yet. And that may be something that's a little frustrating for you if you've been expecting or someone has made the promise or the intention to be able to see that progress. And it's almost like you feel like, well, until I see that, there's this stalemate. I'm unable to move forward in the direction of where I know I need to go. So again, this can sort of circle back and create some confusion or some stress points for you. Now, when we approach Lionsgate on the 8th, this cosmic conversation, the spiritual sun, Sirius rising, it's a beautiful time to be able to really reflect upon your growth, revisit the things that you are desiring, what you want to set your energy and intention towards, going back to all of those tools that you use to help manifest in your world. The King of Cups is reminding us of that spiritual journey. And there's a sense of you preparing and being prepared for something, but you might not even be quite sure what that is either. In the backdrop, of course, we've got this continuing Venus retrograde, and the reminder here is that what that's teaching us is how our external relationships to things deeply affects our own self-esteem. And so what you'll be finding is, as you consider and think about what you want, there'll be all sorts of thoughts and evidence and past stories and beliefs that are coming in to tell you why you can't or why that's not going to work. That can lead to mistrust, both of yourself, of the process, and notably of other people. And I feel like you want to trust in them, but it may just feel like something is stopping you. There's that barrier that keeps kind of coming up. And, you know, this is an opportunity through this month to really reflect on the ways in which you are restricting your own energy field, Capricorn. Sometimes where we let our stubbornness, our pride, our ego get in the way, and I'm not in any way downplaying what you may have gone through or experienced or what you might be dealing with, but the thing is, if the story that you tell yourself or the experience that you've been through is then holding you away from the very thing that you want and desire, this is a month where we can break through that limit. That's why I'm saying you're on the precipice of making this permanent shift in how you perceive yourself. So as we move through Lionsgate, and a reminder, I've got a beautiful soul meditation that you can use if you're working with rituals around this time. You'll find that in the link and comment section below. We're going to approach mid-month, and we'll have the asteroid goddess Juno shifting into the sign of Leo. So then we will have Mercury, Venus, the Sun. We also still have Black Moon Lilith in Leo right through till October 3rd. Black Moon Lilith, of course, reminding us that we need to do the shadow work, calling us out, calling out where we're playing with victimization, but also where we perhaps have been dismissed or we are dismissing ourselves, especially in Leo around areas of our innate talent and gifts, our creativity. And so there's an opportunity to resolve this as we go through all these retrograde energies, remembering you're also looking at this area of self-esteem. And so as the devil comes through as a really powerful teacher for you this month, I think it's about what you have allowed yourself to be bonded to, whether it's a story, a thought, a person, a situation, that ultimately is brought about a situation where you have restricted yourself. You have not allowed yourself to believe or to realize the potential. What's going to happen is this is going to feel innately suffocating through the month of August. At the same time, fear comes from that, right? The devil often sparks and activates that fear, but let's really think about what fear represents. You know, you may have the fear of getting it wrong, of not knowing, of what it might mean for you. But essentially, fear is an emotional response that's really about a call to awareness, to alert you. The fear itself isn't the issue, it's the thoughts that we use to translate it and where we try to reject it or run from it. So if you can almost like sit down and have a cup of tea with this devil and say, okay, what are you about? Why are you showing up? What are you revealing to me? You get a breakthrough moment. Now, Juno in Leo, of course, asteroid goddess, also deals with professional, romantic relationships, partnerships. And our hearts are on the line here. Again, there's a desire to make some big grand gestures, but some confusion and uncertainty as to what's real and what's being done for show. And you have to use the discernment here. Again, as I said, at the root of this, you're dealing with this friction that says, I want to get closer, and yet I feel like I'm being pulled apart and separated from this. Sometimes it's a necessary route because you're also in the process with 8th house energy of a rebirth. Yeah, and that can be messy, but it can also be profoundly invigorating. There's more choices than you think you have, so don't feel closed in or in a situation where you have to accept something that doesn't feel right or the timing of it isn't kind of landing for you. It's really important through the month of August that we don't judge midway. I feel like things are in such a state of flux still, and there's a lot of work that's being unlocked deeper in the subconscious as these two full moon energies kind of hold and pin us in place to really get us to realize and wake up to truths. The revelations keep on coming. Keep on coming. So what you're ending up is in a situation where you're having to navigate the what is of the reality that you have in any given moment through August, and overlay it with what you desire and what is coming in for you, and kind of making sense of all of the different complexity of this. And actually, I think you're going to do that in a very new way. There's a different approach that you're bringing to the table this month. And when the new moon in Leo lands on the 16th, the choices all of a sudden become liberating rather than feeling overwhelming. Because I think there's almost that sense of like where I'd made my mind up and this was what I was going to do, and all of a sudden you're now bringing something at the final hour to the table, and I don't know if it's even possible to kind of renege or to backtrack or to kind of make that decision. Well, you do, nothing is set in stone. Any commitment that you may have made, especially during retrograde, has the potential and the capacity to come undone, which goes for people making commitments to you too. And remember, we tend to, especially through Venus, Mercury retrograde, which is also going to be landing for us this month, coming in on the 23rd, we will make decisions based on the past version of ourselves. And so then we have to work doubly hard to kind of ensure that we're really reflecting what it is that we want and who we're trying to embody to become, not just sort of where we've been and how we've been influenced by that. Your Nine of Pentacles, remember, like the full moon in Aquarius, which is going to come in on the 1st, hitting that second house for you, is going to reveal something powerful just around value, but also your financial prosperity, your money story. So you might be looking at moving money, changing an approach with regards to something, revisiting your income streams. But the revelation, the news, the information that comes to light at that first full moon will be incredibly helpful and supportive for you sort of working to maybe reimagine some of the goals that you have for yourself. When we make our way then towards the full moon in Pisces at the end of the month, that's third house for you. So then the short-term strategy starts to reveal itself. But you also have to make a change in the way that you think about something in order to kind of really realize its true potential or understand the experience that it's brought to the table for you. Okay, so new moon in Leo, powerful time. I think there's a real boost for you in terms of being given a bit of a validation in some instances. Remember what I said though, perhaps you're not going to necessarily see all the action coming through quite yet, but it's enough to help you kind of reset in some area. And there's a strong sense through the month of August of picking up where we left off and actually realizing the value of something as you do that. Okay, remember, Mercury retrograde will bring people back from the past who you may have had like a random one-time conversation with. Venus retrograde will bring back people from the past that you have a much more intimate and personal, emotional connection with. But rest assured, between these two, August is a time where you're going to be bumping back into people all over the place, left, right and centre, which gives you an opportunity for closure, for resolution, for making peace, for finding acceptance, but also for remembering the true value or significance or happiness that was derived from something that perhaps, for whatever reason has moved out of your life. Now, as we come into Virgo season from the 23rd, same day that Mercury will shift retrograde, for you, you're starting to kind of get a clearer idea of what some of this preparation energy is in regards to. And here's the thing, as you're kind of working through this, I'm trying to crack the code, so to speak. The Nine of Pentacles tells me that there's a self-resiliency, a self-starter kind of mentality that you're like, okay, I need some time to figure this out on my own. And if you give yourself that, you're going to be able to draw much more on your innate gifts and talents rather than being told by somebody the best way to do it. Now, even if you end up making a couple of mistakes through that process, sometimes we have to feel the pain of the mistake, because the way that we then absorb and learn and grow from it, is something that's so much more powerful than someone telling us, you know, there's a better way, because we can't really accept it because we haven't lived through it. And sometimes we can't avoid it. In fact, our intuition will directly lead us down those paths where we think we've got it right, and then it turns out not to be the case. And, you know, that's not an opportunity for you to mistrust yourself or how your higher self is communicating with you. It's a deeper appreciation and awareness that your spiritual path is always going to put you in situations so that you can have an experience and really learn the most from it, okay? So we also have North Node in Aries, remember, which again is the encouragement of being able to kind of really draw on your own inner wealth and your own inner innate guidance system of kind of what's right for you and how you need to sort of take that forward. So it's a really supportive time to kind of help you address where there may have been codependency that are overly influencing how you're shaping or imagining what comes next for you. And 9th house energy of Virgo season is really elevating your understanding and your spiritual awareness in a really, really beautiful way. So we are also going to welcome Uranus going retrograde at the end of the month on the 28th, and then we have the full moon in Pisces. Expect some surprises to come around. Expect to be a bit rattled in a way, not necessarily negatively, but just something you were not anticipating, and perhaps having to make some very quick adjustments around that time. I think you'll do that effectively, but it might also make you stop and really reconsider your approach or your strategy, or how you're seeing someone, or maybe how they're seeing you. So there's a lot of positive reasons why this is going to show up at the exact time that it is, even if you're just thinking, God, this couldn't be worse timing. But I think you'll quickly come to realize that actually that's not the case. Now, if you're new to the channel, Capricorn, the last 3 cards we're going to cover off in the extended version of the reading, and you can find the link in the comment and description box underneath. We talk for another 25-30 minutes. We'll also look at a personal question for you and a relationship card as well as this main reading. I'm just going to pull some clarifiers for us to see the direction we're going to be taking this in. So we've got the 9 of Swords coming through. There's that fear. And these moons are really creating some illusion around kind of the situation. So sometimes we can't see the wood for the trees, you know. And there's a lot of drama that sort of ensues with that Leo energy as well. But Page of Cups softening it somewhat. Energy of Justice coming through. 3 of Cups. All the decks that I use are also listed in the comment and description box underneath. As well as the Lionsgate portal, I also have a brand new full moon energy activation that you can check out over on my website. Let's have a look here. What is with this Devil? Page of Swords. 10 of Swords. 7 of Cups. Strength. Ace of Wands. When we feel something so innately within us to be our truth and to be the vision, the destiny, the way forward, the path, and all external reality is not mirroring anything that would give us confidence or belief that we're on the right frequency, sometimes you just kind of have to keep going regardless. And I think that's one of the biggest tests, isn't it? You know, at what moment do you kind of give up, and what moment do you just double down on your effort? And again, that sort of conflict and friction plays out a little bit. I think the best advice that will come through this month is you have to fully, completely accept what is going on around you, because there's something that we need to learn from that experience. But you're not meant to settle and anchor into that so profoundly that you forget to embody the very thing that you're trying to bring towards you. And that's where we really want you to focus. So this is Life Soul Vision Oracle, which is my personal deck. You'll find details of that over on my website if you haven't been able to check it out yet, along with my book, MUSINGS. These sacred titles just help support your soul work and are made with love and support from spirit. So I appreciate your support there. Energy Conversations, Earth Medicine and Magic, Caster Spells we have. The Wishing Tree. portals of possibility. You have this, you know, the vibe and the sort of air of August is really magical, but it feels a little bit otherworldly. And, you know, like I said, the sense of you kind of needing to somehow decipher the code, crack the code. And you might not have all the answers through the course of this month, but what you will be able to do is revisit your bigger vision, and that will feel brighter and more radiant than it ever has before. And it may change from what, you know, what once was. And that sort of mutable energy coming through, especially during Virgo season, is also going to be really helpful for you to kind of find the space for the new version of you to kind of come through. She who flows. All right, we're going to cover off the message of this oracle, the rest of the cards, along with your personal question and relationship card in the extended. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a beautiful month of August. I appreciate you, and I will see you again next time. Bye.